Okay, great to have you on the show, guys. Your new album is coming out called Jomsviking, and it is a concept album this time, which is new. Tell us about the thought process behind it and what is it about?
Well, when we started talking about doing the new album, we kind of wanted to do something different, something we hadn't done before, and I had started writing on my own little side project to like kind of private thing to write a story, and I showed the story to the guys and said we could make a concept album out of this, and I guess they liked the story, so yeah.
Music-wise, was it more difficult for you to write the music and record it finally?
I wouldn't say it was more difficult, but it was a different approach to it. Since we now had this story to begin with, and then try to make music that fits into all the parts and of the story, made it feel like a new thing for us. And also, we choose to see it more like a film, since it was a film script from the first. We choose to see it more like think of it as a movie kind of, and make it music for a movie.
Okay, so it was not like a back and forth kind of process, but the lyrics and the story was set before, and you were writing the music on top of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and you acted actually last time in a movie in a short role. Was that an influence, or was that a trigger like for you doing that?
I think it was more of a trigger actually to write the story. The idea for the story I've had for a long while, but I never really got around to sit down and write it. And then I just had more and more ideas about it, and then I was like, well, I could write a script. I've never done it before, so I decided to try it. But probably inspired by being in the movie, but it wasn't like, oh, well, now I've been in the movie, I'm gonna write a script. It's like something that kind of just happened, I guess.
Okay, so no additional drama classes or anything for you?
Not yet.
Oh, let's see what's coming up next. Sound-wise, there's a new drummer on this album. Tell us who it is and why did you choose him?
Well, we decided to work with Tobias Gustafsson. Ooh, sorry about that.
Let's see who's that.
Who keeps texting me? Oh, yeah.
Tobias, probably.
No, Justin. No, but it's Tobias Gustafsson, who also used to play for Vomitory and plays for Cut Up now. And he's an old friend, and we decided to work with him on this album because we needed a good drummer with a creative, possibilities to help us write the album. And I think one of the reasons why we chose to do work with him in that way was that we didn't feel like we wanted to look for a permanent member and start writing a whole new album, and then halfway through the process realize it's the wrong guy, So working with Tobias was a good middle ground, really, so we could relax and focus on writing the new material.
Okay.
Yeah, when you write material, it's very good if you know the guy you're working with on a personal level, instead of having somebody completely new that you never met before and start to try to be creative with that person. It's kind of hard, I would assume.
So did he influence you a lot, or does the sound change a lot?
I think the sound has changed pretty much, actually, because his style of drumming is so different, which is perfect, actually, because of the concept, I think. I think somebody said, like the other day, that it feels like there's more air in the production now, and I would totally agree with that. There's more room in the production for all the other instruments to shine through because of his style of drumming, which is at some points held back a little bit, and some points it's very brutal, but it's always he has a nice feeling of what fits and where.
Well, he has the experience, obviously. So yeah.
He's a good drummer. He's a good guy.
Okay, and you also have female guest vocals on the album, namely the German vocalist Doro, a classic herself. How did that turn out to happen?
Well, that particular song is a duet, and it's a song between a man and a woman, sort of a dialogue, but they're not really talking to each other. It's kind of a weird thing, but we wanted a voice that was strong and would fit our music, and also due to the character in the lyrics, someone who like herself had a strong character with lots of integrity, and I think the first and really the only person we thought of was Doro.
So are you fans of each other, or what was the situation? How did it turn out?
We're kids of the '80s. Of course, we were fans. I mean, we are fans of Doro and Warlock, and you know, last show we played at Wacken, she was standing on the side of the stage watching the whole show. So I assume that she likes what we do. But we asked her if she wanted to do it, and she said, "Yeah, sure, that's great." You know, and, yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that she contributed. Will she be on stage live with you too?
I hope so. You know, if the opportunity arises and we can do this song live, definitely so. We won't do this song without her.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to that. Again, to writing the story, when you consider it as a movie, then it is kind of a dramatic, a drama movie, you could say. And some songs you wrote from the first person point of view, from our hero's perspective, and others like from the outside.
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind that, and how did it influence?
Well, some stuff like it's often a way of how do I convey the feeling and the story here, and how can I make the lyrics work with the music? Because often we had obviously lyrics or at least a story, and they wrote music, and then I would have to try to adapt the story or the lyrics to fit the music a little bit, which meant that I might have to, you know, change the angle to make it work, you know. So there's no real thought about it rather than except for making it sound as good as possible, you know. So, and I think it's also a little bit fun to play with, you know, angles, you know, that there's this one song which is like written like At Dawn's First Light, which is basically written from the perspective of the people being attacked, even though it's the main character and his gang that attacks. So it's you know, stuff like that you can always play with the angle, you know, like from which point of view are you looking at this?
Exactly how you do it in movies too,
Yeah.
but doing it like with music and lyrics, that is might be even more powerful because you don't have the picture that you
Yeah,
use
yeah.
normally.
Exactly, and also it doesn't necessarily have to be that people understand why you change or anything, but I think the beauty of just having the music and the lyrics and no picture is that people can build their own pictures in their minds. So
That's what it's about.
yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing, of course, is set in a let's say Viking world and scenery. Um, and like in many stories of this kind, like the hero has to live through and walk through like a whole odyssey, and certain events happen to him, and always fate and destiny seems to be a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is he destined to this outcome, or is it actually kind of a symbolic meaning that you can change the future even?
That's the whole thing. If like it doesn't really come across that well in the album, but because obviously we couldn't write like 58 songs, and you know, a song about everything. We just kept the main parts. But if like when you read the script that I wrote, which is 140 pages long, there are certain points where he has a chance to take a different path, really. But he decides to kind of stick to his guns and do, you know, be stubborn, and you know, it's kind of like he doesn't want to let go of the past.
No, obviously not.
Yeah, yeah. So, so he continues on this path, even though there are several points where there are premonitions or stuff that he experiences or dreams or that will tell him that, okay, maybe if I take a different path, I'll be fine. But if I continue this path, it's gonna end badly.
Yeah. Do you actually sometimes disagree on those stories or how a hero should be, or is it like an interpretation, a kind of approach to the Norse mythology? Do you sometimes disagree, or how it is? How is it?
I think I don't know.
No, not on this. On this story, I think
Yeah.
we had the story presented to us, and we pretty much stuck to that story. The only
Yeah.
thing we do is like we adapt it more, because it's gonna be songs. It needs to be built in another way, so you have a chorus, stuff like that.
Okay, so you don't go like, oh, we should like put in like a whole new verse or song even into this part or something like that.
Not so much. I mean, it was rather the opposite way around. We kind of had to kind of scale down the story to fit
Yeah.
the album.
That happens oftentimes, right?
Yeah, first time I saw the story, I thought to myself, like, okay, we need to make 35 songs to cover this now. And we usually never put out more than 10 songs on an album. But then when the story was scaled down and the music was finished, then we actually ended up having more music than we had lyrics. So one of the songs on the album isn't really part of the story.
Which one is that?
The Raise Your Horns song.
Yeah, it's kind of like an aftermath thing, but it was supposed to be like a bonus track from the beginning, with kind of an extra, like what happens after, and then the song turned out to be so good, so we had to put it on the album.
But it totally fits in the middle. It's kind of like the calm before the next storm kind of thing, like, right? You want to chill out and drink some beer until the next battle begins or something.
But it's a good song, and we would have. I think if we would have stuck to the original plan to make it the bonus track, we would have regretted
shot
it.
ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's. I think I probably put more thoughts and emotions and ideas into the characters and the story than the other guys, obviously, because I wrote the story. I think I probably shouldn't speak for you, but I think for most of the guys in the band, they just saw it as a straightforward story. They didn't think too much about, why is he doing this and why is this happening, and they didn't see the complete story either until it was finished, because I had all the basic ideas of who was going to be in the story and what was going to happen to them, so we could finish the album with the lyrics and all that stuff, without having finished the complete script.
Yeah, I thought it was for me. I thought it was a good thing to have a story that I should not change, because then I need to adapt my music to the story more. So that's a new challenge for me. So it's pretty much like if somebody present a movie to me without sound and make music for this, then I'm not gonna change the movie.
That actually sounds great. I would take that task. That's something else, yeah. And the final question that, of course, occurs, will there be a sequel of some kind? Do you have enough material for maybe another concept album in this?
I don't think it's going to be a
guy
sequel.
is dead.
The guy is dead.
He is,
Yeah.
yeah. But they will be reborn, won't they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's like he wakes up in the shower, maybe.
The sequel in Valhalla, maybe.
No, but I think not a sequel. I don't think so. But I mean, I definitely can see us do another concept album if the right story appears. I guess it depends on the ideas you have. I actually kind of have an idea which is more kind of based on an actual book. Like a Norse mythology book that I want to explore, but the problem for me was I was going to start working on it a little bit, but I can't find the book. it's gone. So I have to buy it again.
eBay, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have it at home somewhere. I just don't know where I put it.
Okay, so finally, the year started 2016. It is announced that you will be playing some festivals so far. What are the further tour plans for the upcoming year?
It's a little bit tricky to talk about touring as such right now because, well, everything will be announced soon. But right now, I fear I will say too much if I spill the beans about that right now. But in the next couple of days, there will be some announcements that will hopefully make everyone happy.
Okay, we're looking forward to that. So, what are your last words for the fans out there?
Check out the album.
We're very anxious to get out on the road again and to meet our fans
Yeah,
and play
some new
the
stuff.
new material live. That's always something that's really cool when you have a new album.
Yeah.
We're really anxious to go out and try it live.
And I think everyone should pick up the album. It's gonna kick your ass.
Hey, what up,
So,
everyone?
yeah,
Corey Taylor here, and you're watching Behind
it
the
was
Ink.
a long
My
time
first
ago, my
tattoo
first
is actually one that I gave to myself that I promptly covered
What's
up once I
the
could
most
afford it.
important
It was just a bunch
Um,
of symbols and letters and crap that I
maybe
did
my
in my
knuckles,
basement
they say
with Indian
believe.
ink and a needle.
And
But I covered it up. It was on
probably
this
because
arm,
it
and I
just
covered
keeps
it up
me in
with
the
that
constant
one. But,
reminder of, no matter, I
latest
think
one is this
everybody
one right
struggles
here,
with
the Morris
self-doubt
Thompson.
or when
He's
you're
one of my
trying to
favorite
accomplish
writers.
something.